else to put it. You're not going to have, nobody's ever going to replace him, and nobody's gonna come close. He's going to be, you're going to miss, all of his fans, the reaction, the cheers, the boos, all the above, the good times, the bad, the controversy, the drama. He's got a little bit of a dramatic flair at times, and you're just gonna miss him. I don't know how you can put it into words. Everything that he does, he won't be there. But the good news is the sport goes on, and I'm sure that somebody will do their best to try to emulate it.
Jeff Gordon, really in a nutshell, comes down to the meeting we had when he decided that I was going to be his crew chief. In 2005, I was a 26-year-old kid. He could have had any crew chief in the sport, and he chose to give a new guy a chance. And when we sat in his office, the only advice he gave me was to treat him like everyone else. And if I didn't do that, we'd be unsuccessful. It didn't matter who he was or what he had done. He needed to be held accountable like everyone else. And I wish I could tell you I took that advice and it really flourished, but it's hard to take that advice when it's your mentor giving you, the best opportunity in motorsports. So, but that's Jeff Gordon in a nutshell. He never put himself first. He's really that true leader in the essence of, actions speak louder than words. Well, his actions always were in the direction that the team should head.
When you look at the early days of NASCAR, you got to say Petty, the name Petty, okay? Then you move into NASCAR in the 80s, and you got to say Earnhardt. And you look at it now, and you got to say Jeff Gordon. So when you look at NASCAR and say, okay, you've got to say those three names. There's a list of other incredible drivers and athletes like you can't even imagine, right? But you got to say those three names, and I think that pretty much there sums up what Jeff Gordon's meant to the sport.
I definitely credit a lot of my success on what he has taught me, based on his talent as a driver, helping us make the right decisions every time he came off of the track. It makes it easy as an engineer or a crew chief when you get that quality of information. And that's the biggest thing that got me a solid foothold in the business, is because of the quality of the feedback that he gave. Before we had data acquisition, we had Jeff Gordon.
Everybody gets replaced, right? Somebody else comes along, but when you carve out a part in history and you make a legacy like Jeff has done, and again, you want to talk about other sports figures, people today, I never saw him play, Johnny Unitas or some kids, but they're always going to know that name. They're always going to know Mickey Mantle's name. They're always going to know, and people will always know Jeff Gordon's name. So I don't know that, that his legacy will be replaced. He'll be replaced on the track. Everybody does. Your players get replaced all the time, but legends are forever.
One last start.
Start your engine.
One last turn. One last push.
Winner of the Daytona 500, youngest driver.
One last hurrah.
Greatest day of my life. Winston Cup championship.
One last time around.
Number 24, Jeff Gordon. A name you're going to hear a lot about for years to come. He's one of the all-time best. One word, champion.
This car. This number. Forever synonymous with greatness. Now, at the sport's most celebrated event, we'll say goodbye to one of its most celebrated drivers. Through 3 decades, Jeff Gordon and his iconic car have reached the sport's greatest heights.
Jeff Gordon, his first ever Cup victory. Here comes Jeff Gordon to win the Daytona 500. Jeff Gordon will win for the second time. He's going to win his third Daytona 500. He has won the championship. Jeff Gordon, you're a 4-time champion.
Racing's best have chased the number 24 for so long. And for the final time, he'll lead them to the green flag on the hallowed road at Daytona. As his legendary career nears the finish line,
24 car.
Jeff Gordon.
Jeff Gordon. Jeff Gordon.
Jeff Gordon, 24 car.
Man, there's a lot to that.
It's going to be Jeff Gordon winning. Jeff Gordon wins. Jeff Gordon wins. Jeff Gordon's going to win his third Daytona 500.
I remember the first time I met Jeff Gordon, and Dad walks up. He said, "Hey, once you meet this guy's going to be good." So he was right. You know, you don't get to race against your childhood hero that often.
My hero growing up, guy that I always looked up to.
I got my first go-kart when I was 5 years old, and of course the number had to be 24 on that ride.
In 1993, I joined your fan club, and I'm still a fan in 2015. I grew up as a Jeff Gordon fan. Everything Jeff Gordon. One day I was actually able to meet him. I was only about 13 years old. My mom's got a couple outfits still that she has kept. As a kid, I wore a Jeff Gordon hat. I mean, I got a couple die casts and a t-shirt that I actually still have hanging in my office at Cobblish Motorsports today.
For as short as Jeff Gordon is, when you look in the mirror, it's like they use a magnifying glass in the windshield, because when you look back there, he looks bigger than everybody else. And it's usually because he's a lot closer than everybody else.
One of my favorite Jeff Gordon moments is the first time I got to race him for a win. I'm racing Jeff Gordon for a race win. Something I'll always cherish.
My favorite memory of you is starting alongside of you at the Daytona 500. That's a pretty cool thing for a little girl who has always been a Jeff Gordon fan.
I still remember the first day that I actually met Jeff, and it was at lunch. You know, I knew I was probably in for something that was over my head when he ordered a salad for lunch and I ordered a cheeseburger.
Jeff Gordon, a great battle.
When Jeff came into the sport, it really opened up the window for where a driver came from.
It's going to be weird to see a young kid that's a foot taller than Jeff Gordon driving this thing next year. At least a foot, Jeff. It's crazy to think about things coming around like they have.
Thank you for being the face of our sport for so many important years and really thrusting our sport into mainstream media. We're all going to miss you. You're definitely the face of NASCAR. Thank you for my job, basically introducing me to my wife.
He'll start the 500 from the pole.
I would say thanks, and Jeff's been great to race with him and race against him. Thanks for all the memories. We're going to miss you, man. Really proud of you.
Welcome to the Coca-Cola 600 at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Almost a couple of 100,000 fans packing their way in here today to see the world's greatest hardtop drivers go 600 miles from in excess of $1.25 million.
Jeff Gordon, the pole sitter up there, taking the field down the back straightaway. And here comes Gordon right back, not willing to give an answer. Here you see Jeff Gordon, just 22 years old, and he's already won 600 races.
I think if we could adjust on the car and it comes down to a shootout, Jeff Gordon with 10 laps, I'll put money on him.
Jeff Gordon in third spot. He finished second here 1 year ago. Here's Gordon coming on pit road. I tried to get from Rick Hendrick what they were going to do. He said, I'll tell you after the stop. That's how late they are deciding what they are going to do. Go for Gordon. So in that shakeout, Gordon takes first. Wallace Host second. Bodine is third. Dale Jarrett fourth. Ricky Rudcalls sixth, is just in front of Harry Gant. Jeff Gordon seeking his first Winston Cup victory. White flag, one to go. Set on the pole at 181.439. He will become only the fifth driver in 35 years to win from the pole. Checkers are out, and it is Jeff Gordon victorious on this Memorial Weekend at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. The Coca-Cola 600 belongs to Pittsboro, Indiana's Jeff Gordon.
I'm speechless, man. I mean, this is the greatest day of my life. I told everybody that we weren't going to be fast at the beginning, and that we'd be there when it got dark and the lights came on. It's exactly what this thing did.
122,000 people, plus what was in the infield, paying their respects to a 22-year-old youngster originally out of California who simply loves to race. Checkers are out, and they are down, and it is Jeff Gordon victorious this evening on this Memorial Weekend at the Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Jeff Gordon wins the 1997 running of the Winston.
122,000 people, plus what was in the infield, paying their respects to a 22-year-old youngster originally
Winston Cup driver.
Look at that face. Just a kid. He's got no idea what's in store for him. Neither did we, because who would think it? A writer, perhaps? Maybe an artist? Nah, this kind of thing just happens when no one is looking.
Here's from today with 79 stock car races have been run here. Welcome them to the name. Jeff Gordon, winner of the inaugural Brickyard 400.
NASCAR's debut race at Indianapolis was won by the Indiana kid from Pittsburgh, just 16 miles west of auto racing's Mecca. As a boy, Gordon dreamt of testing his talents at that ultimate proving ground. Who would have guessed that he'd ace that test with a frequency never achieved before, nor since?
Behind the pace car, Jeff Gordon wins the 1998 Brickyard 400.
Gordon's second triumph came in his fifth start. Wonder Boy at age 26 became the first two-time Brickyard champ. 17 years later, there's still only 4 to do that. Jarrett, Johnson, Stewart, and of course, Gordon. But an even shorter, more select list still to come.
Jeff Gordon comes off the corner and becomes a 3-time winner of the Brickyard 400.
A third win, uncharted territory. 3-time Brickyard 400 champ is a title now claimed by only a pair. The original and the teammate to follow. Gordon and Jimmy Johnson, mentor and protege. They weren't done yet.
Jeff Gordon wins the Brickyard 400 for a 4th time, a dominating performance today.
4, unheard of. Indiana boy, Indianapolis master. At this point, the word legend falls short. In time, the apprentice would match the feat. Until, of course, bar got raised yet one more time.
Stretching it out over Kyle Busch. Now up to 2 seconds. 6 laps to go. He was 23 years old when he won his first Brickyard 400. He's 43 now. I'm telling you, he's driving as hard as I've ever seen him right now, this moment.
By last season, a decade had passed since Gordon last tasted the bricks that marked the line. His stature long since secure. Gordon was about to step up once more. This time, to meet the faces of racing's gods and taunt them.
He's in the last lap. As we look out the window across at the grandstands, all the fans that are here at the Speedway today are now on their feet, watching to see if Jeff Gordon comes back around to take another checkered flag.
Are there words to describe the man about to heap upon his already mountainous legacy? What exactly are we supposed to say now? How about we just call him the best driver in the best era at the best track, because there is no better than best.
He won the first one in 1994. 20 years later, he wins the 21st. Checkered flag in the Brickyard 400 to Jeff Gordon. 5 wins at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Incredible.
Storybook ending, his 5th championship.
Believe it or not, it's the final week of Jeff Gordon's Sprint Cup career, and we here at The Buzzer have picked some of our favorite Jeff Gordon moments. Check it out. In 1995, Jeff Gordon, just 23 at the time, held off Dale Earnhardt to win his first Cup Series title. Earlier in the season, when asked about the possibility of a younger Gordon winning the championship, Earnhardt responded with, "If he wins it, he'll have to toast everyone with milk." Well, Gordon did win it, and on stage at the banquet, he did just that, showing that at just 23, he could drive his ass off and take a joke.
Doesn't matter how old you are or where you come from. Whether you're a fan or a driver like me.
I knew early we had one of the greatest drivers to ever sit in a stock car.
He's always had that killer instinct. I don't think it's ever gone away.
When something has lit the fire, man, I've learned to just step out of the way and watch someone who's truly a master of his craft go to work.
It's just never really about being good enough. It's about being the best. And that's what drives Jeff Gordon.
It's not bumpy up by the wall, though, right?
Nuh-uh.
Where's the car slide at?
In these things.
On the concrete?
Yeah.
His competitiveness came out immediately at 5 years old, relentless at what he was trying to achieve. Our first major race at the track, Jeff wouldn't lift the throttle. I mean, he drove in and actually tipped the car over. He's in tears, and he's saying, how's my car? How's my car? And I said, I'll fix your car. Don't worry about your car. Immediately, it was apparent to me that I had a competitor on my hands.
What were you doing in 1995? Because he was winning races. And what were you doing in 2005? Because he was winning races. The man's done this for over 2 decades now.
The only piece of NASCAR memorabilia I've ever owned was a number 24 diecast car. Bought it at Toys R Us before I was ever racing stock cars, when I was just a fan. The reason I watched was because of him. I idolized him. The competitor I watched growing up was a guy who could live on the ragged edge and even intimidate people.
Here comes Jeff Gordon to take the lead. Here comes Gordon right up to the bumper again. The bumper ride.
He knew exactly what to do, where to be, how to block. If he needed to put the bumper to you for a win, you could expect that from Jeff Gordon.
In his career, he doesn't have a lot of second place finishes, because if you could get him to third, fourth, up in there, he was going to figure out a way to win.
Unbeatable. They were just unbeatable.
We had the race guys that were our heroes. We're talking about going head-to-head with Dale Earnhardt, the Intimidator.
Dad always had a pretty physical side to him, but Jeff and Dad's battles, when they happened, there was always a lot of respect on the track.
Tremendous champion and competitor, but he did it with the respect of everybody that he competed against and with.
In 2002, Jeff changed my life in a moment. He saw enough to go to Rick Hendrick and to tell him I was the guy to put in the car. He saw whatever the heck it was and believed in me. There were times he didn't even realize he was teaching me, but I was just sitting there, absorbing it like a sponge.
I knew that there would be a day that Jeff was going to make his decision. And he said, I want to do something for the fans. He said, I want to compete. I want to go out on top.
It was like a 20-year-old kid that had won his first race, and this was the 93rd time.
You were just seeing a guy really maybe celebrate his last win. He didn't want to leave anything on the table. He didn't want to walk away with any regrets. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate everything, guys. Yeah, we did it, man. Thank you.
Name a sport, name a career to take care of yourself, your body, your team, and still find a way to win a championship 20 years later. I don't think anyone could ever try to define that in words.
It's so hard to express how thankful I am to Jeff Gordon. Even having those conversations with Jeff, it almost makes him uncomfortable. It's like, oh man, don't worry about it. You did your thing. I barely did anything at all. I want to carry on in that way. I don't don't know how it will feel when he's gone, but I know none of us will be the same.
For the 93rd time in his career, Jeff Gordon is going to victory lane. He now has his sights set on Homestead, Miami Speedway.
From the beginning, he was different. Jeff Gordon grew up far from the world of stock car racing. He began at age 5. From then on, it was his entire life.
A young man who grew up in Indiana because that was one of the few states that allow a 13-year-old to drive a sprint car.
NASCAR wasn't the goal. It never entered his mind.
My long-term goal, try to win the Indy 500. I'd like to really win it.
But in the late 1980s, opportunity in the open-wheel world was scarce. In that moment, his life changed, and with it, an entire sport.
I'm kind of looking at the stock cars right now, and I think I could really be competitive in a Winston Cup car.
The image of Jeff Gordon strapping into a NASCAR Winston Cup ride was unusual. He was 21 years old in his debut race. Many in the field were in their 40s, but the talent was undeniable.
Jeff Gordon becomes our second leader, but look at Earnhardt's comeback.
He was the opposite of a good old boy, a natural rival to Dale Earnhardt.
Wonderboy's here.
I hear him talking about me.
Talk like a little girl.
I'm sorry, man. I'm just not as big as you. Not as big a man as you.
Soon, Gordon would back up his potential with wins.
Checkers are out, and it is Jeff Gordon victorious at the Charlotte Motor Speedway.
The first was shot through with emotion.
I'm speechless, man. I mean, this is the greatest day of my life.
The second was symbolic of a childhood dream.
The youngest driver in the field shall lead them home. Jeff Gordon wins the inaugural Brickyard 400.
In the 21 years since, no NASCAR driver has had more success at the venerable speedway. The making of a true legend comes in several stages. A driver must take victory in the marquee races.
Jeff Gordon's going to win his third Daytona 500. It is Jeff Gordon's 7th Darlington victory.
Championships must be earned.
Jeff Gordon comes home as a 2001 Series champion.
Season after season, Gordon built his legend, winning races, breaking records, and capturing hearts.
Jeff Gordon gets his first Phoenix win tonight. Gordon ties Earnhardt for career wins.
For an entire generation of fans, Jeff Gordon has always been there.
Check you out.
The only way, he's my first driver and my only driver. He's the best there ever was.
He changed the sport for sure.
Gordon has become the model for the modern racing driver. And he's grown to embody the fighting spirit that's long been a part of NASCAR.
Big old fight up pit road. Punches flying off left and right down here.
Through it all, the passion of that first win more than 20 years ago is still strong.
The drive for 5 is still alive. Jeff Gordon headed for checkered flag.
We won a Final Four. Why not us? I don't see why we can't go finish this.
Today in Homestead, he has an opportunity rarely afforded anyone in sports. One last race, one last drive for a championship. There's still more to add to the legend of Jeff Gordon.
Not everybody gets a storybook ending. You can take my word for it because I lived it. More than 2 decades ago, I decided to hang up my helmet after 35 years, 200 wins, 7 championships. And in the final race in '92, I couldn't quite bring it home in one piece.
And Richard Petty is flaming going into turn number 1. The car is on fire. Fire extinguisher. That was Richard yelling to his crew. Get a fire extinguisher down here.
So yeah, it wasn't perfect, but that's all right. I still got the to wave goodbye. And little did I know that just as I was saying that farewell, there was another young man with a big smile and a funny haircut making his debut. And he was about to do incredible, unimaginable things. It's the beauty of our sport. We pass along what we've built to the next generation to see where they can take it. And Jeff Gordon was the right man at the right time to bring racing to a whole new level.
You don't understand. It's not what you think. It's not what you think. No, it's just a prank. We're just having fun. Look, this is a camera. Here's a camera. There's cameras. Look, it was all just fun. Look, I'm Jeff Gordon.
Talk shows, boardrooms, Madison Avenue. This young man was comfortable everywhere. And it's a good thing, too, because our sport, thanks in a big part to him, was about to explode. Everybody wanted to see what we'd been up to. What those good old boys could do with 4 tires, a few hundred horsepower, and thousands of screaming fans. A lot of them liked what they saw. Of course, most of the time, they saw the 24 car running up front.
This Memorial Weekend. Winner of the inaugural Brickyard 400, Jeff Gordon ties Dale Earnhardt.
He went toe-to-toe with Intimidator, and along the way, earned his respect.
This time, I would like to offer a toast to the man. Dale, great effort, man. There's some milk.
He helped build one of the sport's most dominant teams.
Caution is coming out. That could be the final lap under green.
Let's come across here. 1, 2, 3.
The top 3, all from the same racing stable.
He won races, lots of races, from Daytona to the Brickyard, to the Lady in Black, and everywhere in between. He collected trophies, dominated his era, and made it all seem pretty simple. But it wasn't easy as it looked. Trust me, I wouldn't know.
Jeff Gordon in his last race climbing out of his car. A racing career that started at the age of 5. Jeff Gordon has lived his dream. And he took us along for that ride.
Turns out, Jeff Gordon didn't get that perfect ending. But he got damn close. He's left a legacy that's a lot bigger than one race. He did everything the sport could ask. And now a whole bunch of talented youngsters are ready to take over from here. They'll put their own mark on NASCAR, because that's how it's always been. But Jeff Gordon will be one tough act to follow.
In my lifetime, I witnessed greatness firsthand in 3 forms. Petty, Earnhardt, and the most abstract was a young man named Gordon.
I think everybody knew that he was going to win, just didn't know when. Well, it's happened here. The Coca-Cola 600 belongs to Pittsboro, Indiana's Jeff Gordon.
He didn't look the part of a good old boy. He didn't come in trying to be one. But he drove like a bat out of hell. He was better than me. He was better than all of us. But he was perceived as being perfect, without flaw. And for the opposition, nothing cuts deeper than perfection. We needed a new name, a new hero to carry us to the next level. Jeff Gordon gave us that. But it didn't come free. As his teammate in the midst of back-to-back dominating seasons, I witnessed the disdain he received from fans.
Uh-oh, wonder who that is. I hear
boos in the background.
The crowd. You know, they got to have somebody to love, and they got to have somebody to boo for, and they got Gordon to boo for tonight.
A residual of Jeff becoming king of the mountain too quickly.
Jeff Gordon wins the title. He becomes the 13th driver to win 2 championships, but the only one to win 2 in his 20s.
When the sport wanted more of Dale and a little less of the West Coast Maverick, he refused to conform. He didn't lift off the accelerator, and in spite of the resistance his success created, he was at his best during the grandest of events.
The only 5-time winner of the Brickyard 400.
And now one more. Homestead. The opportunity to summon one final burst of greatness and a 5th championship. But that's only part of his legacy. I'm going to miss watching my friends circle the track each week. And while we won't see Jeff Gordon competing, we will forever see his influence. From the Californian to the kid from Connecticut, the outsiders now know the way in. Jeff showed them the path, while he was showing all of us his rear bumper.